There is a secret growing inside me, and with every heartbeat, it threatens to tear my perfect life apart. My name is Rita, and the 2 pink lines on that pregnancy test are a death sentence. You see, my husband, Liam, has been trying to get me pregnant for a year, but the baby I'm carrying, it might not be his. It might be his brother's. My ex-husband, the man who ruined me for anyone else, the man I let ruin me all over again. Before Liam, there was Bob. God, Bob. He wasn't a man. He was a natural disaster. A guitarist in a band that never made it, with tattooed hands that knew how to make a woman feel like the only star in a pitch-black sky. Our marriage was a 5-year-long, high-speed car crash. We lived on cheap wine, cheaper motels, and a passion so violent I'd often find bruises the next morning and couldn't remember if they were from fighting or from other things. He was my drug. And going clean was the hardest thing I'd ever done. When I finally left, I was a shell. I moved cities, got a real job, and tried to forget the feel of his hands on my skin. That's where Liam found me, Bob's older brother, the successful, stable accountant. Where Bob was all fire and chaos, Liam was solid ground. He was safe. He was kind. He planned date nights and remembered my allergies. When he proposed on a logical 2-year anniversary, I said yes. I thought I was trading chaos for peace. I was just building a house on a fault line. Our wedding day was pristine. A vineyard. A white dress so pure it felt like a lie. I was reciting my vows, looking into Liam's dependable eyes, when I saw a flicker of movement at the back. Leaning against a grapevine, wearing a leather jacket over a rented tux shirt, a bottle of beer in his hand, was Bob. My breath hitched. The world tilted. He shouldn't have been there. He and Liam hadn't spoken in years. But there he was, smirking as if he'd just won a bet I didn't know we were playing. The reception was a blur. I could feel his gaze like a physical touch, burning a hole through my wedding dress. He waited until Liam was pulled away for photos. Well, 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 his voice, a low, gravelly thing I felt in my bones, sounded behind me. Little Rita, all cleaned up and playing house. I turned, my heart a frantic drum. What are you doing here, Bob? Couldn't let my big brother marry my leftovers without a proper toast, he said, raising his bottle. He stepped closer, the scent of whiskey and his familiar cologne washing over me. You look good enough to eat, Rita, but you always did. His eyes dropped to my lips, and my entire body flushed with a heat that had nothing to do with the California sun. This was wrong, so wrong. This is my life now, Bob. Leave it alone. He leaned in, his breath hot on my ear, and whispered something so filthy, so perfectly Bob, that my knees went weak. You forget. I know what you're really like under all that lace. You're not his. You never will be. Then Liam was there, his hand on the small of my back, a protective, possessive gesture. Bob, I see you've met my wife. The word wife hung in the air between the three of us, a challenge. Bob just smiled, a slow, dangerous smile. Oh, I know her better than anyone, brother, don't I, Rita? That night in the luxurious honeymoon suite, as Liam slept soundly beside me, I stared at the ceiling, my skin still humming from Bob's whisper. The fault line had cracked wide open. Marriage to Liam was everything I thought I wanted. A beautiful home, financial security, a husband who texted me good morning and good night without fail. And I was dying a little more each day. Bob was a phantom limb, an itch I couldn't scratch. Every time Liam kissed me with his gentle, predictable lips, I was screaming for Bob's bruising, desperate kisses inside. Bob didn't disappear. He became my shadow. He got a job as a sound engineer at a local bar. He'd accidentally run into me at the grocery store, his cart filled with cheap beer and frozen pizzas, a stark contrast to my organic greens. Still living that rabbit food life, I see, he'd smirk, his eyes trailing over my expensive yoga pants. Miss you in my bed, Rita. The silence is fucking deafening. I'd tell him to leave me alone, but my body was a traitor. My skin prickled when he was near. The first time I went to his apartment, I told myself it was to finally get closure, to tell him to his face to get out of my life. His place was a dump, a studio apartment with a mattress on the floor and band posters peeling off the walls. It was a shrine to our past. He was shirtless, a new tattoo snaking up his ribs when he opened the door. Took you long enough, he said, as if he'd been expecting me. We fought. I screamed that he was ruining my life. He yelled that I'd ruined myself by settling. He backed me against the wall, his body pinning mine, the heat from his skin searing through my clothes. You think you're happy, he growled, his mouth inches from mine. You're not happy, you're bored, and you know what cures boredom, Rita. He kissed me, and it wasn't gentle. It was a conquest. It was a reclaiming. And God help me, I kissed him back with 5 years of pent-up want. My sensible life, my marriage vows, they evaporated in that single, desperate moment. It was against that wall in his filthy apartment that I became an adulteress. I became a woman possessed. I lived a double life of dizzying extremes. By day, I was Rita, the respectable wife, discussing mortgage rates and summer vacation plans. By night, I was Bob's Rita, wild, loud, and his. We fought and made up with a ferocity that left me breathless and bruised. He never treated me like something fragile. He treated me like his equal in sin. Liam started to notice. The late nights working. The new, edgier perfume I'd started wearing. The way I'd flinch when my phone buzzed. You've been distant, he said one night, his voice soft with concern, not accusation. It made me feel even worse. Is everything okay? Is it us? It's not you, I said, the biggest cliché of a lie. It's me, I'm just stressed. He pulled me into a hug. We'll get through it together, we're a team. His kindness was a knife in my gut. The end began with a wave of nausea, then another. I was late. The fear was instant and icy. I did the math, my blood running cold. The timeline was a minefield. I had been with Liam on a Tuesday and with Bob in a fit of passion on a Thursday. The pregnancy test confirmed my nightmare. I ended it with Bob in a back alley behind the bar where he worked. Rain was pouring down, soaking us both. It's over, Bob, for real this time. Bullshit, you don't get to end this. This is forever. I'm pregnant. The words were a whisper, but they hit him like a physical blow. He stared at me, rain plastering his hair to his forehead. His expression shifted from anger to shock, to something else of fierce, primal pride. It's mine, he stated, no question in his voice. You don't know that. I know my kid when you're carrying it, he said, stepping forward, his hands gripping my hips. You're not getting rid of it, and you're not staying with him. I told Liam that night. His joy was a radiant, beautiful thing. He cried. He picked me up and spun me around, his dreams of fatherhood finally coming true. This is a miracle, he kept saying, his hands on my still flat stomach. Our little miracle. The weight of his happiness was suffocating. I had to believe it was his. For my sanity, I had to. But Bob wasn't having it. At a family dinner, he cornered me in the kitchen while Liam was uncorking wine in the other room. You're showing, he murmured, his eyes dark with possession. He placed a rough, calloused hand on my stomach. I should have slapped it away, but I didn't. A terrifying part of me thrilled at his touch. Stop it, Bob. You feel that, he whispered, his mouth close to my ear. That's my future in there, and I'm not letting my brother steal it from me, not again. The game had changed. It was no longer an affair. It was a war for a child, and I was the battlefield. The pregnancy became a 9-month countdown to my own execution. Every kick was a question. Was it Liam's gentle nature, or Bob's rebellious fire? My body was no longer my own. It was a contested territory. Lane turned the spare room into a perfect gray and yellow neutral nursery. Bob started leaving gifts on my doorstep, a tiny black leather bracelet, a onesie with a skull on it. For my rock star, the note said. The contrast was a joke, a sick, terrifying joke. The pressure was crushing me. Liam, in his blissful ignorance, attributed my mood swings to hormones and Bob's antics to his usual irreverence. He'd rub my feet and talk about baby names like Eleanor and Arthur. All I could think of was the name Jagger that Bob had whispered to me. I was losing my mind. I had to know. At a prenatal appointment, my voice trembling, I asked for a non-invasive paternity test. I gave them the 2 names, Liam Aston and Bob Aston. The nurse did blink. The 2-week wait was a descent into hell. Every time my email notification chimed, I jumped. I'd look at Liam, so full of love and excitement, and feel a physical pain. I'd remember the possessive, hopeful look in Bob's eyes and feel a pull so strong it terrified me. The email came on a rainy Thursday. The subject line was sterile and final. Paternity test RESULTS, RITAASDON. My hands were ice. Liam was in the next room, assembling a crib, humming a lullaby. This was it, the moment that would define the rest of our lives. I clicked. The document loaded. I skimmed past the headers, the disclaimers, my eyes searching for the only thing that mattered. Paternity analysis. Probability of paternity for Liam Aston, 49.8%. Probability of paternity for Bob Aston, 49.8%. Interpretation. Due to the alleged fathers being monozygotic twins. The words blurred. Monozygotic twins. Identical twins. I read it again, my brain refusing to process it. Liam and Bob were identical twins. They had the exact same DNA. The test couldn't tell them apart. The science that was supposed to be my salvation had given me a life sentence of uncertainty. 49.8%. A sob caught in my throat. It was a tie, a biological, irrevocable tie. Rita, Liam's voice was soft from the doorway. I hadn't heard him approach. He was holding a tiny, yellow onesie, his face etched with concern. "Honey, are you okay? You're white as a sheet." I looked from his kind, worried face to the damning screen, to the positive pregnancy test I kept hidden like a cursed relic. And I realized the horrifying truth. There might never be an answer. This child would forever be a question mark. A living, breathing secret that could tear two brothers and me completely apart. So now I wait. I wait for a bomb that might never go off, or one that could detonate at any moment. I'm carrying a child who belongs to both of them and neither of them. I am a wife, an ex-lover, and a liar, trapped in a gilded cage of my own making. And when this baby is born, the world will see its face. And they will all look for the answer in its eyes. An answer that I and science may never be able to give.